So hello, my name's Dan Romanchik. My call sign is KB6NU, and I'm here to talk a little bit about amateur radio digital communications, or ARDC. And we were mentioned yesterday here, if you were in the room, we're a private foundation, and we give grants to organizations that deal with digital communications, communication science, and amateur radio. But let me back up a little bit and tell you the story of how we got started, because it's really an amazing story. Every time I tell the story, I'm amazed by it. So back in 1981, the internet was just getting founded, right? And one of the fellows, KA6M, Hank Magnuski, got the idea that ham radio should have some IP addresses. So he asked the John Postel of MIT, not MIT, I think USC, who was doling out the addresses, to give ham radio some IP addresses. And if you look at the map of the internet at the time, there was like AT&T and Northern Telecom, and I think IBM had some assigned to them. And he gave ham radio, he assigned ham radio a Class A block of 16 million IP addresses, IPv4 addresses. And there was an ad hoc group of ham radio operators who administered those IP addresses for a long time. And they were used in different experiments. Some folks did packet radio over radio. AX.25 stuff. And, it was used, but we never really used all 16 million addresses. So anyway, along about 2011, so it was just this ad hoc group administering these addresses. Around about 2011, the Internet Authority said, well, you guys probably want to get a little bit more formal about this. So they formed a nonprofit corporation called Amateur Radio Digital Communications. This was 2011. And this went on for a while, several years. And in 2019, the board said, well, you know what? We're never really going to use all these addresses, and some of these are kind of valuable. So why don't we sell some and then start giving out grants? So they made a deal with a large internet retailer who I can't name, and sold them a quarter of the addresses, 4 million addresses, for a large sum of money, which I can't mention either, although this is all on the internet if you want to figure this out. And we formed a private foundation. We're a private foundation now, and we give out grants to groups like GNU Radio. And NRAO, in fact, we just gave a big grant of about $300,000 to NRAO to start an educational program. They're calling it Exploring the Electromagnetic Spectrum, and they're going to work with kids to teach them about ham radio and the electromagnetic spectrum. So anyway, we've got this pot of money, and in 2021. We gave out $9 million. In 2022, we're going to give out $6 million. And the difference there is that in 2020, we didn't give out all the money we needed to give out. As a private foundation, you have to give out 5% of your net assets every year to keep this tax-exempt status. So anyway, one of the reasons I'm talking here is that we have money. We have money available for projects. And if one of you have an interesting idea to do something, we'd love to hear about it. There's some caveats. First off, it has to be a nonprofit kind of thing. So we can't give out money to, like analog devices, for example. We can't give it to educational institutions. One of the grants we gave out recently was to a group of senior students at Bradley University who developed it was some kind of digital communication system using LoRa technology. It wasn't really using a GNU radio, but if you had some project using GNU radio, that would even be cooler. One of the grants we gave out recently was to a project called the M17 project, and they're developing totally open. And that's the other sort of caveat too here. Anything you develop has to be open source, and I think I'm preaching to the choir here on that. But we gave money to what's called the M17 project, and they're developing a totally amateur radio-based digital communication system to be used on amateur radio. And when I say totally amateur radio-based, currently in ham radio we have things like DMR and Yaesu Fusion and D-Star, and these are all usable, but they're just sort of amateur radio use of commercial technology. With the M17 project, what's so exciting about that is that it's totally done by amateurs for amateurs. And we think this is going to be a big thing in amateur radio. And M17, or GNU Radio, supports M17. Somebody's working on a project to do M17 using GNU Radio. So anyway, I mean, that's really the basis of my talk here. Like I say, we have to give out $6 million in 2022. The deadline for getting any money in 2022 is kind of over because we're sort of near the end of the year. But we expect to give out an equal amount of money in 2023. And if you have any ideas about how you might use that money, please talk to us. Our website is ampr.org, ampr.org, and you can email giving@ardc.net. We have sort of two different domain names, and that's really it. If you're interested in ham radio in any way, I'm going to be doing a review session tomorrow, and of course, then there will be a test session in the afternoon. So if you're interested in doing that at all, you can see me. We're going to be. I've written a study guide for the amateur radio test, and it's a free download. You can go to my website, kb6nu.com, and get that study guide. But I'll be in. I don't really know. I forget what room I'm in, but I'll be in the room from 9 till about 1:30, and then the test session begins about that time, or 9 to 3, I guess. The test session actually begins at 1:30. But that's it. Any questions? Yeah, so it's ampr.org. M as in Mike. You can get there by going to ardc.net too. It just redirects.
Okay. What's the selection criteria for the grants like? Are there any particular areas you guys are focused? Anything that interested parties should be looking for?
Can you repeat that question? I didn't quite get it.
Sorry. What's the selection process for the grants? Are there any particular areas or that you guys are focused, or anything for interested parties that they should be looking into?
Well, again, if you go to ardc.net, you'll see what kind of categories we look for, and some of the things we look for in a proposal. But the way the proposals work is we accept proposals any time of the year. We begin a review process 4 times a year. And the next one is actually starting October 1st. So that's why I say it's probably kind of late to get into the 2022 cycle. But the next cycle will begin in February 2023. And what we do is we bundle up all the proposals we've received to that date. It goes to our Grants Advisory Committee, and then it goes to the board. The Grants Advisory Committee kind of weeds out some of the ones that like we get some proposals that really aren't germane to what we do, so we weed those out, and then the board approves any proposals that the Grants Advisory Committee passes on to them. Does that answer the question?
Oh yeah, thanks.
There's kind of an echo in here, so it makes it hard to hear on the podium here.
That was good. Thanks.